Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James and the fact that they just don't get along, making it very, very clear that LeBron James hasn't just pissed him off, but it has bothered him, in fact, more than anything he's ever dealt with in his entire career, the disrespect that he's received from LeBron James. What have we heard so far to this point that Stephen A. has said that is personal? That's a basketball take, but he's commenting on what happened in the league that Stephen A. covers. Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James and the fact that they just don't get along, and for the dumbest reason. We'll start here with Stephen A., and then we'll go back. You know the story, probably, but I'm going to take you back how through all of this happened, but that's going to occur after we listen to Stephen A.'s words just this week, making it very, very clear that LeBron James hasn't just pissed him off. LeBron James hasn't just bothered him, but it has bothered him, in fact, more than anything he's ever dealt with in his entire career. Let's listen to Stephen A.
The last straw was not him rolling up on me on courtside. If you sat up there and said, yo, LeBron pissed off, he needs to talk to you man to man, and I was in New York, what would I do? I'd be on the next plane to LA. And then you gonna turn around and come on ESPN with Pat McAfee? You gonna come on my channel on a show that comes on after me just to dog me? Nah. And what you dogging me about? Be a man. Yo, I don't like him either. Cool. Nah, I have to protect my family. That's the narrative you playing? Yo, bro, when I tell y'all, you can't measure the level of how pissed off I have been over that. There is no level of disrespect that has ever been accorded to me in my life more so than what he did. To try to paint me as somebody who would attack somebody's family, knowing I've never done it, I can't tell you how offensive I find that.
All right, I'll amend that. Stephen A. not just saying that it's the thing that has pissed him off the most, bothered him the most in his entire career, because it's bothered him more than anything in his entire life, he says. The disrespect that he's received from LeBron James. So let's take you back through it. This all begins with LeBron James' long-stated dream of hanging around in the NBA long enough that he could play with his son, Bronny. And it happened. And we all know that it happened only because LeBron James is so important to the NBA and so important to the Los Angeles Lakers that he pretty much gets whatever he wants. Maybe you'd like to have a special moment with your child in your occupation. I don't fucking know. But you probably can't just automatically make it happen, because it happened without Bronny being in any way qualified to be an NBA player, let's be honest. We're talking about a kid who played one season of college ball. He averaged 4.8 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 2.1 assists during the 23-24 season for USC. A 15-18 USC team. So you're playing for a shit team. You're not filling the stat sheet at all in the time that you're out there for said shit team. But somehow Bronny James, rather than being able to continue his development at the college level, got helicopter parented right into the NBA. Drafted in the second round, 55th overall by the Lakers. Believe me, nobody else was lining up to pick him. You think he was going to get drafted with the picks that remained in the second round if the Lakers didn't grab him? Highly fucking doubt it. And I certainly can tell you, if anybody else had drafted him, he wouldn't have been getting almost $5.5 million of guaranteed money out of that contract. You know how uncommon it is for somebody that gets drafted in the late second round to get guaranteed money in the NBA? You're just fucking lucky to be there if you get drafted 55th. Go to training camp and try to impress somebody. $5.5 million guaranteed money. Do you think he gets that money if his name is Bronny Smith? Do you think he gets drafted if his name is Bronny Smith? And Stephen A has a job to do. Stephen A's job isn't to give LeBron James and the James family a light back rub as he talks about how everything is great with LeBron and everything is great with the Lakers and everything is great with Bronny. His job, as is my job, as is the job of anybody who is in the media, is to say what they really believe. Now, maybe there are a lot of people in the media that fail at that, but if you're doing it right, ideally, you're going to sit before the camera, as I am now, and tell the people what it is that you really think. And by early 2025, and I think this shows admirable restraint on the part of Stephen A, if anything, by early 2025, Stephen A criticizes Bronny's NBA readiness and says if his name wasn't James, he wouldn't be in the league. That's a basketball take. You're commenting not on LeBron James as a dad globally, but he's commenting on what happened in the league that Stephen A covers. How did Bronny get there? Bronny's not ready. Clearly, we all saw it. He shot 31% from the field last year. He was in no way ready. He was not an NBA player. Only had an NBA jersey because, logically, his dad's LeBron James. The Lakers want LeBron to be happy. LeBron has had this fucking wet dream for years and years and years that he's going to turn the NBA into a driveway basketball game with his boy. And so he did that. But when you do that, you better be prepared for people who are looking at it rationally and intelligently to call you on it, and Stephen A did. So how did LeBron react? As Stephen A alluded to in the video, LeBron didn't call him, didn't text him, didn't seek to iron it out with him privately. No, he decided he was going to confront him at courtside. And Stephen A feels like it's a setup. We didn't get to that part of what he had to say in our clip, but Stephen A said, based on the way that the camera angle was and everything, he feels like it was orchestrated. That people knew that he was going to do it. It wasn't a spur of the moment thing, but that LeBron wanted to control the narrative by having this moment of being the big man who comes up and confronts the guy who said something about his son. And then LeBron doubles down on it the following week by going on Pat McAfee. Same network that Stephen A is, the biggest name. I guess those are the two biggest names at the network, arguably, with respect to Scott Van Pelt, who we'll put in that conversation as well. Saying to Pat McAfee that this is about family, and Stephen A has now crossed the line and he's made it personal. Well, what have we heard so far to this point that Stephen A has said that is personal? Is it personal to say Bronny James is not an NBA player? He's not ready to be in the league. Why is he in the league? Is that personal? I think the same thing. I said the same thing on the show. A lot of other people were saying the same thing. Anybody who watched Bronny James was saying that, but LeBron is going to claim that it's personal. Stephen A going on, as we heard, to say that it pisses him off more than anything else in his career. And he goes on to say that he and LeBron have no relationship now, and if they never speak again, Stephen A is fine with it. And I side completely with Stephen A on this matter. Bronny James, God bless him, seems like a good young man. Maybe eventually at some point he's an NBA caliber player. But right now he's in the league, as near as I can tell, objectively speaking, with no axe to grind against LeBron James. He's in the league because his dad wanted his son in the league, and he was a powerful enough figure that he can make that happen. Stephen A suddenly is the bad guy, and LeBron goes after him just because Stephen A looks at what's in front of him and he says it. That's what this feud is. LeBron James is butthurt that Stephen A Smith saw the situation accurately and didn't pretend that it was something other than what it is. It's as simple as that. And Russell Westbrook, I can only imagine, would side with Stephen A. Smith in this matter because we've seen some quotes come to light. There's a book coming out, Hollywood Ending, The Dreams and Drama of the LeBron Lakers, in which Russell Westbrook is quoted as calling LeBron James fake as shit. Fake. I hate that fake shit is the direct quote. I don't want to read the Sonny Hostin legal note. Citing as examples LeBron carrying around a copy of the autobiography of Malcolm X, but unable to mention any details about the book when asked what he liked about it, and LeBron saying The Godfather's his favorite film, but not being able to quote any lines from it or say anything about it. So Russell Westbrook calling LeBron James fake, and Stephen A. certainly not having LeBron's contention that he went after his family. The NBA season tips off tonight. Ronnie, can I get the theme song? Stephen A. Smith. LeBron James, the NBA on NBC. Actually, no, you're going to get the Rockets and the defending champion Thunder. Thank you, Roddy. You're going to get the Houston Rockets and the defending champion Seattle Sloppy Seconds, also known as the Oklahoma City Thunder, and it'll be the Warriors and the Lakers after that doubleheader here. So the NBA season starts out the way that it often plays out, off the court drama involving LeBron James, Stephen A. Smith. So we'll see if this goes any further. Jaylin Williams, let's get this up here. Take a look at this. Here's a little factoid for you. You may not know this. Jaylin Williams is the last NBA player wearing number 6 because it was retired in 2022. Bill Russell's number, much like Major League Baseball retired Jackie Robinson's 42, the NBA has retired number 6. Julius Erving probably deserves at least a little bit of credit for that. But once again, the Bill Russell resume, if you want to know why this man's jersey was retired, 3 years in college ball, 13 years in the NBA, 1 Olympics that he played in. Added up, that's 17 times that he was going for a championship in his college or professional career. He won 11 out of 13 years he was in the NBA. He won 2 out of the 3 years he was at San Francisco in college. And of course, he won the Olympic gold medal as well. I believe that was in 1956 for the United States. 17 chances at glory, and he bullseyed it 14 times. And the last 2 championships that he won with the Boston Celtics, he was, oh, by the way, player coach. So how about that? That's another fact that doesn't get respected enough. I'm not a huge fan of retiring numbers league-wide. I always thought that it would be a fun thing to just have anybody who wore number 42 give their jersey a Jackie Robinson patch. What do you think of that idea, Ron?
I like it.
That was my idea. Yeah, I thought rather than just retiring it entirely, I like Jackie Robinson Day where everybody wears 42, but I always thought have a 42 on every team.
He would get more. It would tell more of the story because it by not having 42, you get a little forgotten. But if there's a big patch, then it gets talked about all the time. I like it. Kids
would ask, like, Daddy, why does so and so have that patch?
Look at you, man.
Well, son, let me tell you about Jackie Robinson. See what I'm saying? I should be in charge of everything, Ron, but until I am, we're just going to have to be dissatisfied here. Speaking of dissatisfied, man, I have to pour some out right now for my Seattle Mariners homies. I didn't have a dog in this fight between the Mariners and the Blue Jays, except my buddies Brent and the great Rex Crum, who are, lifelong Seattle Mariners fans.
What about America, Ricky? I had that. That was my dog in the fight.
Well, that's true. Well, that's true. Well, I'm an honorary Canadian, Ron. I don't see it that way. Another reason to root for Seattle is the fact that Josh Naylor looks like an integral member of the Neville brothers. I tweeted out last night. He dug one out of the dirt and they cut over to him, and I was just hearing to myself, tell it like it is. The touch, the feel of cotton, the fabric of our lives.
Dude, the shit that you see compared to what the shit that you see compared to what the rest of the world sees is so good.
I don't know much. I know I loved you. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm just sad I don't get to see Josh Naylor out there walking around like Aaron Neville's illegitimate son. But it is the Blue Jays who are advancing on thanks to a 3-run homer by George Springer that brought them back from a 3-1 deficit, 7th inning. They go on to close it out 4-3, and they're moving on. Game 1 of the World Series will take place at the Rogers Center in Toronto on Friday night, Ronnie. So there you have it. Vladimir Guerrero, look at that, man. He must be the favorite son of an entire country right now. There he is as a little boy out on the field in a Montreal Expos uniform, listening to "Oh Canada," presumably there. And then now,
kid and play haircut
as the well, I mean, it's not a full on kid and play.
It's close.
But yeah, well, there he is now as the franchise cornerstone of the Toronto Blue Jays, who sadly, unfortunately, are the only team in the entire country of Canada. But here's one for you. If you're a Mariners fan, this probably isn't going to help you much. But if you were rooting for the Mariners, but you didn't have a lot invested in it beyond that, such as myself, one thing that might make you feel a little better about the Blue Jays making it is that Donnie Baseball, at last, after 40-plus years since he debuted in the major leagues with the New York Yankees in 1982. Look at this. 14 years as a player, 12 as a manager, 17 as a coach. This guy is a baseball lifer. Don Mattingly is one of those guys that went into the game as a player, and there he is. He's still there. After 40-plus years, he's finally going to a World Series for the first time. And I am going to applaud that because Don Mattingly was one of the greatest players of my youth. And here's a tweet that illustrates it. In this tweet, the last time I sent it out, it got about 5,000 likes, Ron, because there are many others who remember this the same way that I do. Don Mattingly was a god in 1985, and if you weren't there, you'll just have to trust me on that. There was nobody in the mid-1980s. Let's go back to, say, 1986, 1987. If you had asked anybody, is Don Mattingly going to be a Hall of Famer one day, we would have all been like, yeah, of course he is. Obviously, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. He was the best hitter in baseball for a time. Clutch as hell. He was Mr. Yankee during a fallow period where the Yankees did not make it to the World Series. And I've talked about this. His rookie year, he came up 82. The Yankees had just been to the World Series the year before, lost to the Dodgers, but they went to the World Series. They didn't go to the World Series again until 1996 when they won, snapping an 18-year drought for them. 1996, the year after Don Mattingly retired. So 14 years as a Yankee, bookended by Yankees World Series appearances. Finally, in 2025, Donnie Baseball will get to be in a dugout during the Fall Classic. And for that, I'm happy. So I will say that. That is a good thing. Here you can take a look at the schedule. If you're planning to be watching, and it promises to be a good World Series. It really does. I mean, just the fact that we've got Ohtani, and then this Blue Jays team, 94-win team, they've been very, very tough throughout the playoffs. Eliminated the Yankees and went 7 with the Seattle Mariners and got the job done. Let me bring in now the international streaming star who joins me from Nashville, Tennessee. He is, of course, Ronnie T-Shirts. And Ronnie, I'm telling you, playoff baseball is just different than regular season baseball. The atmosphere last night, I was watching most of the game. The atmosphere in that stadium last night and the reaction when he hit the home run. You know, you got like 44,000, something like that were on hand. I don't know. Jared, correct me if I'm just pulling a number out of my ass. But you've got all these people there in an entire season. I mean, this thing has been building since pitchers and catchers report to spring training in February. And now here you are 8 months later after 162 games, after 45K, I'm being told, after going through, you know, a playoff series, eliminating the Yankees. Now you're in game 7 of this one. You're talking about a team that's played, 170 some baseball games. And it's all hanging in the balance. And George Springer with a 3-run home run, and that place just erupted, Ron. It was electric.
I saw a video where somebody only had, it was just the crowd noise, the stadium noise, with no commentary, and I will agree with you.
I saw that too.
It was electric. Yeah. It was absolutely electric. But the only,
it's one of those things.
I wish
if you don't even have to be a fan, you know, just to appreciate, like I can look at a soccer match from overseas and all the people chanting and singing and, you know, I'm not a soccer fan, but boy, you can just look at the atmosphere and you just think, man, something special is happening there. And that's how I felt about it last night, even though the outcome wasn't the one that I was hoping for.
Do this for me moving forward. Just text me if something exciting is about to happen in a game, and then I'll switch over. I just can't. I can't sit around and wait for it while I'm watching. But yeah, like if I would have got if somebody would have texted me last night and said, "Hey, you should probably turn your TV on," I would have thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good stuff. Here's something that is not being thoroughly enjoyed, Ron. I want to get to this. Woody Johnson, owner of the New York Jets, kind of threw Justin Fields under the bus a little bit, or maybe a lot. I want you to listen to this clip, and I want your reaction.
What's your confidence level in Aaron to turn it around?
Well, it looks like he's turning around parts of it. You know, it's hard when you have a quarterback with, with a rating that we got. You know, I mean, he has the ability, but something just is not jiving. But if you look at any head coach with a quarterback like that, you're going to see similar results if you go across the league.
All right, look, the rumors were, Ron, that his teenage sons were trying to give personnel advice last year by looking at Madden ratings.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. I don't know how high Justin Fields' Madden ratings were, but, I'm not sure that they justified the acquisition. And now here we are. Basically, I think everyone is more or less coming to the conclusion that Justin Fields is not a good NFL quarterback.
Yeah, I don't think he was kind of throwing him under the bus. He was throwing him under the bus. The good news for Justin is that contract he got is worth more money than I'll make my entire life. And so if he doesn't piss it away, he'll be just fine.
Well, I've got a little personnel advice for Woody Johnson here. If anybody from the Jets front office happens to watch this program or it gets back to you, I think I might have a solution for the Jets quarterback.
Like a trade or something?
Well, a free agent acquisition in this case. In fact, my sources within the National Football League confirming to me the New York Jets now actively engaged in discussions with Mr. Quarterback. Now, you're going to give up a little mobility, Ron. There's no question about it.
Oh, absolutely.
He's not going to be able to get outside of the pocket and make things happen with his feet the way that Justin Fields does. But if you're looking to have a vertical passing game, I feel like this motherfucker will be able to complete more passes.
I have a challenge for you, Ricky. Hop on ChatGPT or wherever you make videos. See if you can make a video where Mr. Quarterback is the quarterback for the Jets.
Ooh,
that would be fantastic.
That's a good idea. All right, that's something for me to try later when I'm smoking a joint and reflecting upon my life. All right, Ronnie, but here's something for us to do now. We're not going to wait for reflection right now because we've got the moment that everyone looks forward to 5 days a week. It's time for America's Poll of the Day, and let's go to it now. It's Super 70 Spurts on X, where the eagle flies higher than the chances that Justin Fields is going to wash out of the NFL, a complete failure. Those chances are pretty high. I don't know. Maybe he could be a backup somewhere. He seems like a good kid. I don't wish anything against him. Every time I hear him speak, I think, well, he seems like a nice guy. He's certainly not going to run out of money, Ron, as you point out. Here are your options today. First off, we have one of the finest stand-up comedians of his era. I don't think that we can doubt it. And a guy who can take a punch. He doesn't have a glass jaw either. Chris Rock.
The slap. Second, the slap.
Well, power slap. He got power slapped, and he took it. He didn't know he was playing. Secondly, we have the OGs, the Oklahoma City Thunder, my ass. How about the Seattle Supersonics? Third, the band that I once challenged to a street fight, and they damn near accepted. And then I had to take a couple of steps back and reassess because, you feel like you can whip those skinny British asses until Simon Le Bon is standing in front of you with Nick Rhodes and John Taylor at either side. And you're like, well, I don't know. Maybe we should all be friends, guys. And then lastly, Blockbuster in the 1990s. So, we remember, some of us, how that felt. Let's say it's 1998 and you're looking for something to do on a Friday night. You head on down to Blockbuster and see what they've got. Ronnie, break it down for me as only you can.
Chris Rock, wow. I like him a lot. Like, he is, not a lot of comedians I remember jokes and lines and things like that, but I do with Chris. Can I tell you my favorite Chris Rock joke?
I hope you will.
So he says, I walked outside and there was a prostitute standing on the corner by my house. And she said, hey, $300. I'll do anything. And I said, you'll do anything for $300? And she said, yeah, anything. So I said, paint my house, bitch. And I just think it's the funniest. It's the funniest one ever.
That's just practical. Yeah. Once you hit a certain age.
Yeah. But I also like his thing about Robitussin, right, how mom's in the 80s or whatever, just put some Robitussin on it. You broke your arm, put some Robitussin on it. Like, Robitussin, get some tussin. So love Chris Rock. Seattle Supersonics, they should be strongly considered for their logo and color scheme alone. I'm sure you'd agree with me on that. Duran.
Truth.
Duran. Again, man, this is one of those, I always say I don't choose to listen to them. I don't choose to listen to Duran, but man, their songs are awesome. Reflex, Save a Prayer, Girls on Film. Love. Yeah, Duran is fantastic. Blockbusters in the 90s. At least 3 out of 4 weekends we went to Blockbuster, got movies. That's what we did. It's what, I got married in 1989. So, we were a married couple. We weren't out, going out all the time. And so Blockbuster played a massive role in our lives. So because of that, I'd have to go with Blockbuster in the 90s is the most important, impactful one of these 4 on my life.
All right, Chris Rock, no surprises. I am a fan. I think he is one of the funniest guys of his era. It pissed me off when Will Smith went up there and slapped him. That was a terrible act of bullying. I can't stand Will Smith.
Name out your mouth.
Just pussy whipped. Just something terrible. John Lennon and Will Smith are the Hall and Oates of being pussy whipped.
Fighting over the cuck
chair.
chair.
I can figure, Ron. Yeah, big time. The Seattle Supersonics were huge. I remember the Sonics beating the Washington Bullets in the 1979 finals. That's the first NBA finals I ever watched. So Jack Sikma and Marvin Webster and
Downtown
Dennis
Freddie
Johnson
Brown.
and Downtown Freddie Brown and all of those guys. I feel like Lonnie Shelton might have been on that team, but I may be wrong. Duran Duran, I love me some Duran Duran. You know, they're going to be at the same theater where I saw Tears for Fears right around New Year's. And there's part of me thinking, I don't know.
You want to spend another 30
back?
hours in Vegas?
Yeah. Let me see if I can. Sitting on a tarmac in Tucson is my country song that I'm working on right now.
I like
Ron,
that.
And then lastly, Blockbuster in the 90s. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I worked at the Video Vault, as you know, back in the late 1990s. So I got to see video stores. Yes, there was a Blow Your Own Horn 2, which I dutifully went and confirmed was not ours. Look, it comes down to the Supersonics and Duran Duran for me, and I'm going to have to ride with Jack Sikma in the Seattle Supersonics. Let's run it and see what the public has to say. It comes down to Super 70 Sports Nation every day. The tension is thick.
Ooh.
And it is Blockbuster in the 90s.
Very
Not
rare that
even
I'm with the
close.
Masters.
Yeah, they're almost doubling up the Seattle Supersonics with Duran Duran fetching the bronze and Chris Rock coming in fourth. I mean, Chris Rock at 17%.
Ricky,
I
think
that tells you that's a strong poll.
Yeah, I just think I'm right. Is all these others, like, you know, there's other basketball teams with other comedians, there's other musicians, but what did you have that would replace Blockbuster in the 90s? Like, that was it.
Video Vault in Glasgow, Kentucky,
Well,
motherfucker, with Ricky Cobb in there in a red polo shirt and khakis.
I think when somebody looks at Blockbuster in the 90s, they're thinking video stores in the 90s. I don't think it's just necessarily Blockbuster. It's the concept of what Blockbuster was.
It was a lot of fun back in the day. Well, you know what? I've had a lot of fun up until this point in the show today, Ron, but we're going to have even more when we come back because I'm going to be joined by OutKick's senior college sports reporter and one of my favorite guests on this program, the great Trey Wallace, is going to join us. So don't you go anywhere. It'll all happen straight ahead right here, right after this on The Ricky Cobb Show. And welcome back to the program, my friends, here on a Tuesday afternoon in Chicago. And college football here. I got something here I want you guys to look at. Our friend of the program, Mike Lombardi, who is the general manager of the North Carolina football program with Bill Belichick there. And here's something that I didn't know about Mike. We're going to have to ask him about this the next time he's on the program. Well, let's just let it speak for itself. Take a look at how Michael Lombardi makes his notes.
So I'm just working on my to-do list, but I do it on the typewriter because it forces me to slow down. I have to think about what I want to write about, and the typewriter gives you that rhythm that you need to be able to slow your mind down and think. Yeah, you're going to make mistakes, right? And on a computer, you can delete the mistake. But sometimes the mistakes that you deleted have really powerful messages in them. And so when I first started to write my first book, I studied a lot of writers, and a lot of them were using typewriters. And I worked for a guy named Ernie Accorsi in Cleveland, who was a former newspaper man, and he had a typewriter in his office. So I kind of got used to using it, and it helps me slow down and think, which ultimately is what this job's all about, thinking.
That is unexpected, Brian. I don't know. Do you think that Mike had his horse tied to a post out in front of the facilities? I mean, that is some old school there. I love it. I mean, Mike Lombardi is like one of the really good guys. And obviously something's working for him. He's written multiple books, and there he is. Just that takes me back to freshman typing class, Ron. Back when we had old typewriters and didn't have the fancy whiteout instant mistakes. Let me bring in a youngin' who probably doesn't remember those old fucked up typewriters that we used to use in high school. back in the 1980s. He is OutKick's senior national college sports reporter and a man who is NWO for life. My brother Trey Wallace joins the show. Trey, what's up, man?
Man, not that much, buddy. Enjoying a chaotic college football season. In the meantime, kind of wondering what old our boy Cena is going to end up doing here in a couple of weeks. And yeah, man, just crazy times. Also keeping an eye out on some Major League Baseball with the San Francisco Giants. Trying to nail down Tony Vitello from Tennessee as their next coach. So lots of stuff going on, brother.
Yeah, how about that? That's a different move, right? Is a major league team ever gone to the college ranks for a big time program head coach?
This would be unprecedented. Unprecedented. This would be the first time, if I'm not mistaken, that Major League Baseball hires straight from college a head coach. And yeah, so interesting times that we are in right now. He definitely has made an impact on college baseball. And now I'm curious. You know, you follow MLB so much. Curious what that's going to be like for a guy that has never coached at the professional level, like moving up to that next spot. And you kind of like also like you become king of a college town, you know what I mean? Then also kind of king of college baseball as the heel, as I like to say. Tony Vitello is a bad guy in college baseball to opposing fans, and going up to the major league world, man, that's an interesting dynamic. You know, you really don't run your own program per se. So yeah, I'm fascinated.
Yeah, it is interesting. I was just reading about it on Baseball America the other day. Definitely got my attention. All right, Trey. So help me make sense of things here. After a week where we saw 9 top 25 teams go down, 5 of the top 11, I believe, including my Louisville Cardinals, pulling off a big win over Miami. Hey, now, I don't get to brag on my schools on the show real often, but this is one for me here.
I would just like to say that I did point out last week on my podcast and in my writing that you needed to pay attention to the Friday night game with Louisville and Miami. Jeff Brom had things kind of rolling down there a little bit. They were going to put up a fight. And by God, man, I'm sitting there Friday night in a hotel room near the Tuscaloosa area, and Louisville's kind of running away with it per se, and it gets close, obviously. And then they pull the upset, and like, wow, what a way to start the weekend. The Cardinals pulled it off, and man, there hasn't been a single weekend, brother, that has taken an off week. Best way to put it. Like, there's been chaos from start to finish. Like, Florida State opens the year beating Alabama. Now you got Florida State fans and others that want their head coach fired. They're currently riding a 4-game losing streak. Like it's been nonstop, and it's been also something. It's been a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong, because there's so many teams that I think could be in contention for a national championship, led by Ronnie T-shirts, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Yeah. But at the same time, man, it's been a blast, because there are so many unknowns, brother, just like we saw Friday night with your Louisville Cardinals.
Trey, I think to myself, if this was Back to the Future and somebody had gone to the future, I say Marty went to the future and he came back, and I'm Doc, and he's telling me what's going on in the future. He says, all right, well, Bill Cosby got accused of like 50 rapes. And you'd be like, oh my God. Then it'd be like, Bruce Jenner is a woman. O.J. Simpson killed a couple of people. Donald Trump is in his second term as the president of the United States. I feel like I would be absorbing all of that. And then when we got to the part where Marty says, and Vanderbilt and Indiana are national college football powers. And I'd say, okay, now I know you're full of shit. What kind of a world are we living in here, man? I can't wrap my mind around either one of them. But having it happen simultaneously, this is not the world that I grew up in anymore.
Let me tell you something. I've covered this sport now for 18 years, and I haven't seen something crazy like this in a long time. Like Boise State kind of came out of nowhere, 20 years ago, per se. And Boise State now is a team that you recognize the name. This has been shocking. Like you want to tell me that Vanderbilt, all eyes are going to be on Vanderbilt this weekend. Like all eyes. Like Vanderbilt, Missouri play. That is Vanderbilt's a top 10 team in the program. It's like, wait a minute, what? What was that? Vanderbilt, top 10 team? Okay. Indiana, top 3 team in the program. Like it is so intriguing to me to see where we are right now. And if you'd have told me that 30 years ago, brother, hell, I would love to make like a futures bet if I could and turn that into a shitload of money. But man, now it's, you got it up there. Is it Diego Pavia for Heisman? Is that where we're going here? Like, yeah, he's got a damn good chance. And I'll tell you this, Vanderbilt has look, they can win this weekend. I think they could lose one more game and they would be in the college football playoff conversation. And to me, it's a lot of people look at Vanderbilt and even Indiana and they're like, oh, that's just Vanderbilt and Indiana. You know what I mean? Like, why did LSU lose to Vanderbilt last week? We shouldn't be losing to Vanderbilt. Let me tell you something. Vanderbilt's a damn good football team. You can't, this ain't your grandpa's team. And for Indiana, what Kurt Cignetti's been able to do with Fernando Mendoza, quarterback, like that's what I'm getting at about this season. Like everybody, now I don't want to say everybody, but people before the year and when NIL and shit, all this started, like I'm not watching that sport anymore. They're losing the interest of fans. Let me here to tell you something. The ratings tell a big different story than that when you've got over 13 million people watching for some of these big primetime games that are going on. So that argument went out the window. It always did. If you're a college football fan, you're going to love college football. You'd probably be sick and tired of, hearing about how much the players are getting paid, but they've earned it. And what a cool ass story, man. Somebody like Diego, who you've got up there right now, a kid that didn't have a damn offer coming out of high school, man. Didn't have a college offer, went the JUCO route, and then he got to play at New Mexico State. Now all of a sudden he's sitting here and he's on the cover of magazines and websites, and I'm covering him. It's just we're living in the multiverse, brother. It's so freaking weird.
Yeah, you gotta love it. I tweeted a few days ago. Vanderbilt. I used to think that Vanderbilt only existed as a football program so Kentucky could have at least one team in the SEC that they could beat on the road. You look at Kentucky's schedule every year, and you'd be like, well, we're going to beat Vanderbilt. Whoever we schedule the first 2 or 3 games in Vanderbilt, maybe we'll squeeze in one more win somewhere.
Here's the crazy part about that is that all of a sudden Kentucky becomes bad at football and Vanderbilt becomes really great at football. It's like, what? Because Kentucky went on a run there for a minute under Stoops, and now Kentucky is kind of stuck because they owe their head coach, Mark Stoops, $38 million within 30 days of firing him. There's no mitigating Ricky. They can't get out of it if he went and got another job. They straight up owe that man $38 million when they give him papers. So they're praying to God that he's going to sit here and be like, okay, guys, I'll move on. Let's negotiate this buyout down a little bit. No, he's going to take his big ass check and he's going to wait for the school to fire him, which is exactly what I would do at the same time. So yeah, this is just pure pandemonium in this sport. And that's why I love it.
All right. Help me make sense of what we can expect to happen in Florida. At this point, what are we looking at down there with Billy Napier?
They finally pulled the trigger, and they should have pulled the trigger last year, but he went on this 4 or 5 game win streak, and everybody got all hoopity-doopity thinking that he was really the difference maker. No, it was your quarterback that was actually playing really well. Let's not talk about your play calling because it was bad. Billy Napier was a coach that was really good at coaching from Sunday to Friday night at midnight. When the clock struck midnight and turned into Saturday, on-field coaching, not so much. Really great guy, by the way, great family guy. But with the Florida Gators, man, all eyes. I spoke to multiple sources about this. I've written about this, wrote about this multiple times over the last couple of days. They're going after Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin is number 1 on the boosters list, and the boosters are going to make this next hire. It's not going to be per se. Scott Strickland, the athletic director there, sure, he will be able to introduce him. Sure, he's already been communicating with some folks about Kiffin, but this is a money hire. And so here's the interesting part, brother. If Kiffin decides to stay at Ole Miss, now it gets interesting because you're going to go after James Franklin, who was just fired from Penn State, who, by the way, I think would do a really great job at Florida, if I'm just being honest with you. I think he would win. But there's been so much chaos down there within that administration, that athletic department. It's hard to trust what's going on in Gainesville. But Lane Kiffin, that's the thing, too, with Lane Kiffin, Ricky, is that he was close to taking the Auburn job a few years ago. And then last year happens with Florida, where you've got boosters behind the scenes because they thought they were going to fire Billy Napier last year, 4 or 5 games into the season. So they're talking to Jimmy Sexton. And if you don't know who Jimmy Sexton is, probably the biggest and baddest sports agent that is out there in the world right now. And he represents just about every single college football coach that has a pulse besides Trace Armstrong. He's another one. But Jimmy Sexton's over there. So what happens is, Jimmy Sexton was also Billy Napier's agent. So he's negotiating the buyout for one coach, and I promise you, he's going to place the next coach. That's how crazy things are. And he also did that the last time around with Florida, with Dan Mullen and Jim McElwain. And so, yeah, this is Lane Kiffin's job to turn down, according to multiple people that I've spoken with. And to me, it makes for an interesting scenario because what's going to potentially happen is there's a school about 3.5 hours north of Gainesville, maybe a little bit further, 4 hours in Tallahassee, Florida. And that would be the Seminoles, who their AD came out yesterday and was like, okay, we're gonna support Mike Norvell, but we're gonna reassess at the end of the season. Okay, all that tells you is that they're just gonna wait till the end of the season to fire him. So potentially, we got 2 openings right there in the state of Florida at major programs, Ricky.
All right, well, let me bring in our resident senior college football correspondent of the Ricky Cobb Show, Ronnie T-Shirts. It's been a minute since the 3 of us have congregated here. Ronnie, you got your boy here. Go ahead and ask him whatever's on your mind.
I mean, I want to just talk. I just want to hear Trey tell me how historic Ohio State's defense is, but we can do that on the side.
Man, look, man, your Buckeyes are good this year. I'm a little interested with the offense of Julian Say and the quarterback. Has a bad day. They kind of recovered there, but I will say it is Ohio State, and then it's everybody else underneath right now in college football chasing them. So, there's a really good shot that I'm covering, Ohio State playing for a national championship at the end of the college football season. But I'll say this, Ricky and Ronnie, we have seen so much pandemonium this season. All I'm saying is keep your cup on, brother.
I totally
It's not
agree.
like it ain't like you'll go run through the season undefeated. That's a given. Like there could be a nut shot coming sometime soon. So just be prepared.
You do still have to play Michigan.
So my real question for you is, we're going to stay in the Big Ten. Wisconsin, man, what are they going to do? They got to get rid of Fickle, right? Like that. Yeah. That experiment is over, right?
Yeah, you would think it's over, but the athletic director wants to stick with Fickle. And the reason why is because there's going to be about 87 jobs that open up in college football. And who does Wisconsin actually go out and get? That's the problem. You're going to have to go take another shot. You're going to have to go find a group of 5 coordinator or head coach that wants to get that next opportunity at the Power 4 level. So, Wisconsin fans, I feel for you. But after that statement that was released on Sunday, I think it was, where he fully supported,
doubling down, right? They just like
they've doubled down, man. So I think you're looking at the landscape of the sport, and they're like, well, damn. There's going to be, 70 some odd jobs open. Who the hell wants to come to Wisconsin? Like, I guess we got to stick with Fickle here. So it is a Fickle situation right now. And
that's why you're a writer. That's why you're a great writer.
My man, you know it.
Trey, one more for you before you get out of here. We've seen a decent sample size of Arch Manning at this point. What is your take on him at this juncture? You know, we got some film at this point. What do you see, and how would you adjust expectations for Arch Manning from what they might have been at the beginning of the year?
I think people just I had this conversation with you when we started the season. I thought he was getting too much hype. He got to go out there and prove it, man. He had started 2 games before the 2025 season. He hadn't done anything yet. And that's not bad, by the way. Let the young man grow up as a quarterback. But the problem is a lot of folks wanted to put this Heisman bullshit on him, and they wanted to tag him as a potential All-American, and you didn't really have much of a sample size at all. So now you're looking at a quarterback who's still learning how to be good in college football. He's got an offensive coordinator who just so happens to be his head coach that can't figure out how to call plays that actually help his quarterback out. So I think, look, Arch Manning's going to be fine, in my opinion. But I think folks are really starting to understand, while there were some out there that said, hold your horses on him, that he's going to grow. He's not going to be this all-star coming out of the gate. And I get why folks put it. It's the last name. It's Manning. It's him coming out of high school. It's him spending 2 years as a backup. I understand the reason why, but I think folks needed to calm down a little bit. He'll be back next year at Texas. He's not going to the NFL. And I could have told you that 2 months ago if folks were listening to our show when I said it on here with you guys. So, you know, it's just a spot right now that he's in, and he's growing and he's learning. And who knows, man, maybe he turns out to be just not that good of a player. It could happen. And we've seen it before, but a lot of folks are just, they just want to tear people down for no damn reason. And I think that it didn't help his situation. There's nothing we can do about it. It's a Manning in college football. Like, you got to promote it at least. But all the Heisman bullshit and all that stuff, I could have told you that from the begin with. And now, you know, he's going to build himself back up into I think, a good college quarterback. You've got to give him time, brother. Give him time. He doesn't have a lot of time like our boy John Cena, who's coming up on his final match, and it's really starting to hit me that it will be the last time we see him in the squared circle.
End of an era. Although in pro wrestling, is it ever really over? You know,
I think this is it. I think this is it. I mean, can you really? I can't see him. This is not Shawn Michaels coming back for a $20 million payday in Saudi Arabia. You know, where he tears his muscles, and Triple H tearing quads, and the match is horrible. It's not Ric Flair, going to TNA wrestling for a paycheck, so he's back in wrestling and doing his thing at 70 years old, and he about died in the ring. I feel like this is it for him. I wish that they would have done the storyline a little bit better, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, man, it's going to be, it sucks that it's on a Saturday night, because I'm probably going to be covering a football game, so I have to have my phone out, like watching it like this. But I am excited for it, Ricky. But at the same time, it's like, damn, I'm getting old. He's retiring. I'm old.
Well, imagine how I feel, Trey. It's like
everybody that
I loved is, retired and or dead, as the case might be. All right, brother. We appreciate you as always. It's always a blast. Thank you, my man.
Y'all keep putting up the great work, buddy. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you,
Trey.
All right.
Thank you.
He is the great Trey Wallace. Ronnie, here's one for you. Switching gears back to the NFL. We've been talking a lot about Mike McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins and what a clusterfuck this season has already become down there. Yeah, well, take a listen to this leadership here from Mike McDaniel talking about Tua.
Barring injury. Yeah, he's going to take the snaps this week, and he's going to be our starter this week. And my expectation is that we don't throw 10 picks.
It would be helpful if you'd shut the fuck up about stuff that's happening in the locker room and try to keep the interceptions to single digits, Ron. That doesn't seem like a great endorsement. Is he even trying anymore? Does Mike McDaniel want to get fired? What's his situation down there?
Fired coach.
Every
We've talked about
fucking
this.
press conference, he looks like a guy who's just saying, "Please fire me."
He's like, So, dude, we talked about this. We talked about this before.
Clip where he said 4 words.
Yeah, we talked about this before. Yeah. There's no greater job in the world than fired head coach of a football team. So, yeah, he wants to get fired at this point.
Yeah, he can go listen to his dirty hipster music and drink IPAs and just collect 7-figure checks.
Kombucha. He feels like a kombucha guy.
He probably does. Well, I used to be a kombucha guy until I passed out and went to the hospital, Ron. But you know what? I got a question for you right now. I'm still convinced that it was the kombucha that did it to me back in the summer of 21. Ron, as I thought that night, as I came to, and as I think 5 days a week, as I look at you, what the fuck? Ron?
So an antique collector in Rhode Island saw an ad on Facebook Marketplace for baseball cards. And turns out that these baseball cards were from the early 1900s, and they were only $75, Ricky. So he purchased them.
Oh, my God.
He purchased them. Now, the interesting thing was, whoever did this, they glued those to the inside of a box. But I guess they've been able to salvage a lot of them. And even in those conditions, they're still worth things. So one of them is a 1909 Cy Young that's in poor condition, but still they say it's worth a couple $1,000s. There's a Christy Mathewson, a John McGraw. So he's trying to sell this for about $6,700 right now. But that's one of those things where, man, if you're into the antiques and collecting, got to be so exciting when you see something that you just.
That's what we are all looking for, back in the day, was the find. Are you going to find something? My buddy Jay and I, we bought together, we pooled our resources and we bought a box of cards back in the mid 1980s at a card show. It said junk box, 25 cents a piece. And we paid $50 and we took the whole box, and we probably ended up making a few $1,000s off of what was in it. It was nothing like this, though. By the way, Ronnie, I own one of these cards.
Wait. Well, hold on real quick. Hold on. A few $1,000s in the 80s, Ricky, on a $50 investment. That's
over
amazing.
Time. It took us years to make that.
It's still an amazing investment
cards at that time.
Still an amazing investment.
It was unbelievable. There was a lot of good stuff in there. Not a ton of super duper stars, but it was pretty good. But Ron, go over to the second row from the top and then count 5 cards over to your back to the left. So it's the 5th card from the far right in the second row from the top.
Okay.
He's a Chicago player. Some of the card has been ripped off on his jersey. There's guys on either side of him where you can see their whole bodies.
Yeah.
Can you see the one I'm talking about?
Is that Joe Jackson?
Fielder Jones.
Oh.
His name's Fielder Jones. No, I couldn't afford Joe Jackson, Ron.
Was he a fielder?
A regular guy.
Was he a fielder or a pitcher?
He was I believe he was a fielder and a batter.
Okay.
As it were, Ron. But I just wanted one of these. I wanted to own a tobacco.
How much did you pay for it?
So a number of years ago. It's probably like a little over 100, probably.
Okay.
Low hundreds, All of those cards, even in rough condition, are going to run probably close to $100, I would say. So yeah, that's.
I always wonder. When I see stories
beyond imagination, but
when I see stories like this, Ricky,
for $75.
Yeah, when I see stories like this, man, it just always makes me just wonder, like, how many baseball cards are sitting in boxes in attics of old houses that have just been sitting there. Like, there's got to be a lot.
Makes you wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does make you wonder. What the fuck else is going on, Ron?
Ugh. This one's kind of. So the company Kohler, they make sinks and toilets and faucets and stuff like that. Probably seen the name Kohler when you're peeing. like at a sporting event? Yeah.
So I'm aware. I think I've dropped waste into many of those through the years, right?
Well, speaking of waste that you've dropped, they have developed a camera that you can clip onto the rim of your toilet. Now, it doesn't take booty shots or get any part of your undercarriage.
It goes back to Chuck Berry's house. Do you remember that, Ron?
I don't know, but I have a feeling.
He got in trouble for allegedly recording people on the toilet at his house, I believe. Allegedly.
Look
it up.
Anyway,
I'm going to be
Ricky,
reading the Sonny Hostin legal notes sooner
this
or later,
will
Ron.
analyze what you leave behind. It'll detect blood. It will look for hydration, gut health, things like that. So it costs almost $600, and then there's a subscription fee to get the analysis done. So you can like poop and then pull your phone up and go, oh, I've got some blood in my stool. Yay or nay? You have blood in your stool. You have blood in your stool.
It should be like Scatman Crothers' voice or something like.
Did you just say
a good-looking
scat?
poop?
Whoa, hold on. Did you just say scat while we were talking about? Did you do that on purpose?
I did.
Okay.
No, but maybe subconsciously. That's a good-looking poop that you had there. You know,
you're fine for today.
Complimented you. Yeah, you're all right now. I don't think you have cancer yet, but I'll keep an eye on you.
You might want to drink some more water.
Yeah. That one looked pretty hard. Did it hurt? Let's go to poll replies and say goodbye. Can we just say goodbye now? Let's go to poll replies, shall we? See what people are saying about Blockbuster in the 1980s. Damn, I didn't think something that big could come out of a human being.
Let's just do this for 5 minutes. Keep going, please.
Yeah. I think something's wrong with you. That's funky.
Did you have green beans last night?
Oh, man. Oh, my God. Let's see what people are saying. Blockbuster in the 1990s. One, did they have restrooms in Blockbuster? I don't remember that they did. Brian Manzo says the only correct answer is the Seattle Supersonics, with apologies to Chris Rock. Mark Clark says Chris Rock was awesome back in the day, but eventually sold out and got slapped for it. Hey, now. You're victim blaming by Mark Clark today. I'm picking Duran Duran as I still want to see the cage match fight between the band and Ricky Cobb. Well, God bless you, sir. I still believe I could take him deep down in my heart of hearts, but I wouldn't feel good about it. You know, I like Duran Duran. Just because I feel like I can, because I'll really walk through a bantamweight if he has no boxing training, Ron. Maybe that's the bantamweight I need. You give me a bantamweight who's like a fucking keyboardist, he's going to have a real problem with me.
Wearing a skinny tie?
I just keep wearing a skinny tie and parachute pants. I'm going to light that guy up. Roger Taylor. Wait a minute. Is this Roger? Was it Roger Taylor in Duran Duran? The Sonics or Duran Duran?
That was Roger C. Taylor. This is Roger B. Taylor.
Okay. Because that Roger Taylor, I don't know if that's really Roger there in the picture, but I'm not sure if I could take him or not. I might have to step back on this Roger Taylor. I want to keep, diplomacy good with him. Got anything else? Is that it for comments today? Or are there more? Oh, look at that. Pulsating with fun on a Friday night. Blockbuster video. Todd's uplifting Motown review says you need to run Parking as the Song Ends to the poll one of these days. That's actually pretty good. You just pull up and you park. Have you ever wanted to finish the song and the other people in the car are like ready to get out and you're just like, hang on a fucking second here, trying to listen to the song? That ever happened to you, Ron?
I mean, probably in the old days when I listened to songs on the radio.
That's what I'm saying. Back in the old days. Well, thank you, Ronnie, for your contributions to this broadcasting excellence. My thanks as well to Trey Wallace. My thanks to Adam and Molly and Colin in Nashville for the great work that they always do. And my thanks to P. Jared for another outstanding day of producing this show. Producer Tim will be rejoining the family tomorrow. And most of all, I thank you, you sweet bastards, because without you, we wouldn't be here. There'd be no point in doing this. And I love you guys. You can catch us, as always, at Fox Nation, OutKick.com, and on YouTube on the Ricky Cobb Show channel. So head over there and subscribe. You can find us in podcast form on Apple and Spotify, and we are also out there just waiting to be consumed on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, as well as X, where you can always find me tweeting away day and night at Super 70 Sports. Let's make a deal, most importantly, that we'll meet again back here soon for another episode when we will tee it high, let it fly. Is there anything else I'm forgetting, Ron? We'll poop in toilets and see what the toilet says. It'll all happen right here again on the Ricky Cobb Show.